Okay, so I'm officially locking in my predictions for the future of the Epic Game Store. Remember, I did this a few years back about Google Stadia, which was another failing service that was hemorrhaging hundreds of millions of dollars every year. Like, this isn't going to last much longer. Sure enough, I got it right to the exact year. I said it was going to shut down in 2023. So my prediction for Epic Game Store is that it'll shut down in 2027. I think they got 3 more years tops. The Epic Game Store launched back in 2018 as a competitor to Steam, and the original vision, according to executives from Epic Games, was for the Epic Game Store to account for over 50%, more than half of all total game sales on PC. Something that is obviously never going to happen. They aren't even going to get 20%. By the end of this year, Epic Games is projected to lose $600 million in total losses, all from the Epic Game Store. Most of the money lost comes from the free games and the exclusivity contracts that it signs for all these games to be mostly timed exclusive games that eventually end up on Steam anyway. And it doesn't seem like there are too many people that are buying these games on Epic Game Store. There are a lot of people that'll claim the free game, no problem. But as far as actually spending money and investing outside of playing Fortnite and buying V-Bucks, there really isn't a whole lot of that going on, even 6 years after launch. A big part of that has to do with the Epic Games launcher just being shit, having a lack of basic features. I think it was, a couple of years after it came out that you were able to have a shopping cart so you can buy multiple games at the same time. Like, basic-ass features that were a standard thing like 20 years ago took them forever to implement after the launch of the store. And we're still not even close to having parity between the Epic Game Store and Steam in terms of features. There's no reviews, there's no community, there's no voice chat, friends. There is a friends list, but you can't actually communicate with them. You can't send a message or anything like that. Even if all that gets implemented in the future, which Tim Sweeney says that is going to happen in the future, it's like Steam is already a huge part of PC gaming culture. I mean, it is PC gaming culture, and people are used to being on that platform and spending all their time and money over there. There really isn't demand to engage with another platform and another service, even though Steam technically has a monopoly, which is the thing that Epic Games always says, is, well, we're fighting the Steam monopoly, we're paying developers more money for their games, and we're trying to be a positive force on the PC gaming market. The problem is that Steam, despite being a near monopoly, nobody has any complaints about. It's the customer satisfaction for Valve is definitely by far the highest out of all of the major video game companies, and it's not even close. There's very few criticism that you'll even see on the internet or anywhere else about Valve and their business practices. And even the developers that feel like Valve is taking too much money from the game sales, it's 70% to 30%. Epic's like, well, we'll only take 15%, we'll only take 10%, whatever the number is, doesn't mean jack shit when no one's actually buying the games on the platform, because if people were buying the games on the platform, they wouldn't have the need to not only take the games onto Steam eventually, because that's where the real money's being made, but also you don't have developers willingly going over to Epic Games because they believe that it's a better platform. They're going over there because they're being paid by Epic Games to do so. For example, they paid $10.5 million for Control to be Epic Games exclusive. But even after that $10 million payment and the higher revenue split for the developers for the game, they still ended up putting it on Steam because, again, that's where all the money is being made still. And there really doesn't seem to be any momentum in Epic's favor after all these years. So for that reason, I think it's a pretty safe bet that the Epic Game Store will eventually lose so much money that it doesn't make sense to keep it running anymore. I think the Epic Games launcher will be maintained because people are willing to get the launcher to play Fortnite, So that's the exception. But as far as actually like selling games on the Epic Game Store and trying to compete with Valve, it's not going to last much longer. They expect to be profitable by 2027. That's 3 years from now. I don't see that happening. I don't think they'll ever be profitable. That's coming from someone, if you're familiar with my track record and previous statements that I've made, specifically about the Epic Game Store, I was actually an early defender of Epic Games, and I was really liking what they were doing. And I thought that it had a lot of upside potential, and it could have been successful. But now I'm walking all that back. All the positive coverage I've given to Epic Games, giving them the benefit of the doubt, I'm done. Like, I'm even going to the point where the games that I did buy in Epic Games Store, and I actually did buy quite a few of them. I didn't just get the free games. I actually paid for some of them, too. I'm actually going as far as repurchasing these games on Steam so that I can have them on Steam, and all the benefits that comes with the Steam version. It just feels lonely playing a game on the Epic Game Store. Even if it's a single-player offline game, I just like that people can see my progress, seeing how many hours I played, how many achievements I have, and Steam is where the community is. The excitement, the interest in the Epic Game Store is all artificial based off of the free games, and that's pretty much where it all comes from. Like, you know, when Grand Theft Auto 5 was made free, and Battlefront 2, that was huge a few years ago when it became an Epic Games free game. It also resulted in a lot more hackers, though, in those online games because of everyone being able to get it for free. So you had an influx of new accounts and people getting banned, being able to get back in because they created so many different accounts, so they have like multiple copies of the game for free. So it actually, sometimes the free games even can cause a lot of harm to online communities. There's just no net benefit for this platform to exist. I think the only platform that ever had a realistic chance at competing with Steam was Discord, because Discord is like the other thing that everybody has on their PC. If you're a PC gamer, you definitely have Discord, and you definitely have Steam. But as far as the Epic Game Store is concerned, there are a lot of people, when a game is exclusivity, when it's timed exclusive, so it's 6 months or even a year plus before it comes on Steam, people will wait. PC gamers are very patient, especially compared to console gamers, and they're willing to just sit and wait for it to come on Steam, the platform that they actually want to play the game on. Outside of content creators that have to get the game as soon as possible, your average person is not running to the Epic Game Store so they can get the game day one. They're just not. But Discord, you know, I talked about it back when the Discord store first launched, saying that this thing can be huge if it's done right, but they gave up on it really quickly, within a few months. They didn't even give it time to breathe or time to really be successful. They just killed it because they're like, well, we do fine enough based off of everything else that we do and make money off of. We don't really need the game store. So the company just decided not to prioritize it, and they killed it. But it could have been a big thing. I think it could have, because people voluntarily want to use Discord, you know, but they don't want to use Epic Game Store or any other platform that isn't Steam. So we'll see if I have any Epic Game Store defenders in the comment section, because I got a lot of Stadia fanboys going after me when I predicted that platform's downfall. It had like 23% likes and 77% dislikes, or whatever it was, something like that, and I ended up being 100% right. I've been dislike bombed a lot lately, so I'm not going to be surprised if this video gets more dislikes than likes, because people hate hearing the truth. That's just how it is in the gaming community. They're very sensitive people over there, especially if you say anything negative about their favorite multi-billion-dollar corporation. There's a lot of Fortnite kids out there, so there are a lot of Epic defenders. But if it weren't for Fortnite, Epic Game Store would already be dead, and it would have been shut down years ago, because the V-Bucks is like literally where most of the money is coming from. They made $700 million in revenue in 2020, the pandemic year, where gaming revenue was at an all-time high because everyone was locked at home and couldn't do anything else. Even then, $700 million of revenue, they only made $260 million in actual game sales. The rest of it was all Fortnite. But Fortnite alone is not going to hold this platform together and keep it alive, because they're still losing money. They're still losing a lot of money. And things are not, like, people aren't just embracing the Epic Game Store over time. Which, if there was any chance that Epic Games has any longevity to it, we'd already be seeing that by now. We'd see people be like, oh yeah, I'll get the game on Epic. Oh yeah, Epic Game Store is fine. But it's still overwhelmingly negative reception to this day from PC gamers. It has not been embraced, and it never will. The free games was a way to bring people in which it did, but really was to keep people and to get them to actually go out and buy games for full price. They had the coupons and everything else, but the free games has always been the most well-known thing about Epic Games. And that was with, like, they had a shit ton of free games, really good ones too, back in 2020. Now they're kind of like, you notice as the years go on, the free game offerings from Epic becomes less and less significant, and they're kind of just like a bunch of indie games for the most part. Because they're losing so much, they're forced to scale back the whole free game thing and not spend as much money on it as they did before. But that's literally the only drawing point that the Epic Game Store has, so if they get rid of that, then you literally will have nobody ever interacting with that platform ever again. So, yeah, I think the writing is on the wall at this point. There is no path forward for the Epic Game Store. It has zero chance of making a significant impact on the PC gaming market, and Steam is going to maintain its evil monopoly over the PC gaming market. So horrible. Even though they have very high customer satisfaction, and they also aren't dickheads like Epic Games are. Epic Games just announced that they're shutting down like 20 old games that run on their servers, like all the Unreal Tournament games and all these old games. It's like, really? Like, the couple of dollars it costs you to keep these servers running, you're gonna cut the costs for that? Like, meanwhile, you have Counter-Strike Condition Zero from 2000 that still runs and has no problems. Like, Valve never shuts their games down. That's just one example of how Valve is a much better company than Epic Games ever will be. And never mind just the perception of them going above and beyond for the consumer. When we're talking about the reviews being there and them not censoring them, like pretty much every other company does that has reviews on their websites. How about the refund policy? That's a huge one, that no other company even comes close to pretty much no questions asked refund, and even their official policy that says you have to have less than 2 hours of playtime, a lot of the time they'll still give you the refund anyway. So even though they are technically monopolistic, they don't act monopolistic. And that's the key difference there. You can call me a fanboy. I'm a Steam Valve fanboy, but you know what? They've earned my loyalty. Them actually doing great things for the consumer, they've earned it, as far as I'm concerned. If they do anything bad, then I'll flip on them on a dime. Like, I'm not going to be blindly loyal to them until the end, like a lot of other people are to certain companies. But over the years, I've had plenty of problems with Nintendo, Microsoft, Sony. With Valve, I haven't had any. The only problem I've had is that they're not making enough games, and they're kind of just sitting comfortably off of Steam sales. There's no, Counter-Strike 2 and Half-Life Alyx are the only two new games they've released over the past 5 years, and Counter-Strike 2 isn't even a brand new game started from scratch. It's just a rework of Counter-Strike Go. But there's no Team Fortress 3, no Left 4 Dead 3, Portal 3, games that should have been made like 10 years ago at this point. So that's the one complaint I have about them. But I have many, many, many complaints about Epic Games and the way that they do business and the way that they conduct themselves, that realistically, if I'm dissatisfied with Steam, I'm not going to go and run to Epic Games because their chances are they're going to be 10 times worse or 100 times worse. And I feel like they only continue to exist out of spite because Tim Sweeney is a very arrogant person, someone who just always doubles down on everything that he does and says, and he's been betting big on the Epic Game Store, and he will do anything he possibly can to keep it alive and afloat, even if it's not to the benefit of the company. It's actually detrimental to it and its growth and profit. But soon enough, something's going to give, and they're going to be forced to close it down. I say that happens sometime within the next 3 years.